Kentucky Derby.
Now they move around the turn. The leader, War Admiral, 2.5 for green.
Next for Day, it is in the center of the racetrack. The Seattle Sloop drawing alongside again.
War Emblem is still there. War Emblem is pulling away. He's got another gear. Yeah, the Swiss they come in the Derby. Wheel away takes command. Lion Hart is all heart. Smarty Jones is all out. And here is the first undefeated winner of the Kentucky Derby since Seattle Slow of 1976.
The talent for the Kentucky Derby and the Oaks has been cast, and later tonight we'll find out at the draw exactly what roles they will play. Looking very forward to that a little bit later on, but right now looking forward to some Oaks and Derby workers, including Sierra Leone. It's time for the Kentucky Derby Morning Workout Show presented by Twin Spires. Fast track temperature in the mid-60s as we take a look at the headlines, and we'll start with Fierceness. He was on yesterday's tab, and he was smooth as silk. The likely Kentucky Derby favorite. We will take a look back. Oaks workers, Torpedo, and a Ways and Means Tarifa amongst several Kentucky Oaks drills yesterday. Sierra Leone topping a long list of drills for today. Scheduled workers at 7:30. Catching Freedom is already gone. Opening night is tonight, and we will draw the Kentucky Derby and the Oaks between the 3rd and 4th races on the card. Joe Christopher and Rosie Napravnik joining you, and one of the leading men in this year's Kentucky Derby is Fierceness. We got a chance to see him yesterday, Rosie. Sierra Leone today. Tough act to follow after what we saw from the Pletcher trainee.
Yeah, you couldn't really have asked for a better work out of Fierceness. Looking happy on the track and just moves really well. Yeah, moves really easily.
Take a look back at that just moments from now. But first, Kentucky Derby points leaderboard. Not a whole lot of changes here in the last few days. We've got the big two, Sierra Leone and Fierceness, Catching Freedom, working in company with Encino a little bit earlier this morning. We'll play that back a little bit later on in the show as we flip the page. And there you see at the bottom of this list, Encino, who worked with Catching Freedom. Tio Passwood was on the track for the first time this morning, as was Grand Mo the First. We'll get some clips of them as well. Epic Ride, number 21, hoping to draw into the field. There will be some also eligibles on the program when we draw these races a little bit later on tonight. Fierceness has a solid resume, to say the least. $1.7 million in the bank. He has 3 wins and 2 disappointing losses, and one of those disappointing losses did not come in the Florida Derby. We'll take a look at that momentarily, but first we're going to take a look at his work from yesterday, and you're going to see a gate road on the inside of Fierceness here, and Fierceness with that highlighter yellow saddle towel just really does his thing, and what was a more impressive move than that 48-4 final time of the half mile will indicate.
Oh yes, the gallop out you'll see is very impressive, but I love the way as a speed horse that this horse just rates easily, stays with his company. You know, to me out there, his nickname is Happy Face out on the racetrack. He's just kind of whatever Johnny says, he'll do. And you can see he's got his ears pricked, turning for home. They're both moving pretty easily, but he's gonna surpass his workmate easily here, and then the gallop out is just, he accelerates.
12-4, 24-4, picking it up to 36-4, 48-4 the official clocking. Here's the gallop out, Rosie, 1 minute and 3 ticks for 5 furlongs. And look at the acceleration here, 6 furlongs, 112
right
3,
there. Right there you can see him get a little lower.
That's impressive, right?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, and I'm sure that was by design. You know, you've got a speed horse. He's got to know he's got to run around run past the wire.
Right.
If they're coming for him. So a lot of horses will work around the turn and just get that really solid gallop out before running this longer distance.
Take a look back at the Florida Derby, and we're going to take a look at the gate break. He is second from the outside, Rosie, in the Rapoli blue and orange silks. He gets a clean break. And look at Johnny here. You see that there was some concern with that wide post that he would have a wide trip going into the first turn, but that did not happen.
No, I mean, well, he's 3 wide here, but and it'll thin out. But the horse breaks well. Johnny asked him for about 5 strides, and then is able to just stand up and cruise to for him to kind of just come up to take the lead easily. Smooth trip. So with an outside post, you sacrifice a little bit of ground for a smooth trip, and I think that might be key for this horse, is getting a smooth trip around the first turn. But he certainly had it smooth and easy down the lane.
All of his rivals here were all in at the half-mile pole, and Johnny had never moved his hands, and he still doesn't.
I don't think there's any question about his talent.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, effortlessly. And in this race, he earned by far the highest speed figure that we've seen all Derby prep season without being asked to do so. Take a look at Endlessly next, and this is a horse that certainly has a good resume, at least on paper, 5 for 6 lifetime, but all of those races on the turf or the synthetic. This is a horse that will go to the post for Michael McCarthy, who will be making his first Kentucky Derby start. And let's take a look at his work from yesterday, Rose. He had been defeated in recent workouts at Churchill by his stablemate, a yellow card. Now he gets a little bit easier competition in the 0 for 3 maiden, got a need for speed.
Yeah, I mean, this horse, he reminds me of Mage. He doesn't look like a real big horse, and he's just got his ears flat back, just, really into what he's doing. But he does have that little bit of higher action. He is bred top and bottom for the turf. I don't think the distance would be any issue for him. But the question is, how about the surface? I just love, it looks like mentally he's just into it with his ears back. Loving running.
That is Endlessly for Michael McCarthy. We're going to take a look at the Oaks points leaderboard next as we switch gears. The Oaks will be drawn first tonight, again between races 3 and 4. Tarifa with a work that we'll take a look at momentarily, along with Torpedo Anna. Just FYI, has been very impressive all the last week, 2 weeks here at Churchill. You saw Regulatory Risk. She scheduled the work this morning. 2 on the outside looking in with the defection of Vanama Gold. She's out. Uncle Heavy, by the way, out of consideration for the Kentucky Oaks. Let's take a look back at the work from Jinjin and her more highly regarded stablemate Tarifa, and 2 different approaches to this work by Jinjin on the inside and Tarifa on the outside.
Yeah, it almost looks like they are intentionally holding Tarifa behind Jinjin, which she's clearly not too happy about. I mean, she's been a little bit ranked with the high head in some of the races. I think it was the Gulfstream Park Oaks. Fairgrounds Oaks. But once he's able to drop her head around the turn, she kind of relaxes. Like some of these faster horses, they just want to go their pace. And so if you let them out just a little bit, that's all they need to relax. So that's, it appears that they're intentionally trying to rate her behind Jinjin in this work, who Jinjin also works very, very well. For her, very smooth, easy work. And 59-3, not too shabby. Both horses worked really well. Tarifa just looks a little bit ranked for me.
Jinjin third last out in the Grade 3 Gazelle behind Where's My Ring. Tarifa, the winner of the Rachel Alexandra and the Fairgrounds Oaks in consecutive starts. Let's transition over to Torpedo Anna, another horse that has really been impressive in her morning works, her gallops, and she did nothing to dissuade her backers yesterday.
Yeah, and she's a really nice big filly. Sits comfortably off her workmate here. Another really quick move, 59-2. Sits off her workmate here, nice and relaxed. And she had a pretty good move down the lane too, if I'm remembering correctly. But around the turn, you can see Brian's just sitting on her. He's got a ton of horse, and she's very content to just respond to what he's asking. This filly, to me, she's a really big, strided filly. Has a good riding style. She's tactical but rateable, and they are stretching out here.
Ken McPeak's been knocking on the door in the Kentucky Oaks in recent years. Way back with Take Charge Lady several years ago, then Daddy's Little Darling, and then a few years ago, Swiss Skydiver, all the runner-ups in the Kentucky Oaks. He's hoping to get over the hump here with Torpedo Anna, who certainly couldn't be coming into the race any better than she.
No, I mean, you can see to the wire, just kind of a maintenance work and Brian just sort of sits on her to the wire, and she gallops out ahead of her workmate, and absolutely the type of work you want to see right before the Oaks.
Into Champaign is the next work we're going to take a look at. We don't have Ways and Means. That one won 46-1, and Where's My Ring won 46-3. Chad Brown saying after the work that he thought Ways and Means worked a little bit too quick for his liking. Into Champaign, though, she worked a minute flat, looked good doing it. She's a horse that likely will be forward in the Kentucky Oaks. There's not a ton of speed in the Kentucky Oaks, and maybe for local connections here, Tracy, Ian Wilkes, and their fun band of owners, she can make an impact coming up on Friday.
Yeah, and you know, this filly, talking about the speed, this filly breaks really sharp from the gate, but she also is pretty relatable even with pressure in her previous races. So I mean, that's just a really valuable aspect to have as far as being rideable as the pace is setting up. She had a good move here on the track at Churchill, which is her home track with Ian Wilkes. And she's got, I mean, she stretches out and moves. She's also working by herself. She seems to be very mature in the way that she goes about her training. Striding out super well. And you can see Chris is kind of just sitting on her. He's not moving her hands, and we'll see what he does when he gets to the wire. He asks her to really gallop out. Just cruising under the wire. So there after the wire, he kind of just loosens the rein and says, go on, you can go as fast as you want.
And she went a minute flat after you see those early fractions for 3 furlongs of 36-2. We're rapidly approaching the designated training period for the Oaks and Derby horses. We're going to see a lot of Derby workers today. There are several on the schedule, including Just a Touch, including, of course, Sierra Leone, Dornock, Domestic Product, Mystic Dan, and a host of others. And we will be back with all that action here on the Kentucky Derby Morning Work Show in just a moment or two.
As they head to the backstretch, it's a tight pack.
He's going to pull ahead. The Twin Spires expert picks were all optimistic.
You've got the best speed rating in the field. Don't fail me now.
Man, I love this horse's name.
And from far behind, here comes Drake. It's neck and neck. Drake is winning. Drake wins.
No matter how you pick your horse, bet with Twin Spires, the official betting partner of the Kentucky Derby. Get your money back if your horse finishes second or third in eligible races.
Dornock approaching the racetrack for that designated training period, which is just moments away. He's knocking on the door to enter and get his morning exercise. One of the horses scheduled to work here today. A very important day, 1 week out from Kentucky Derby 150, the draw tonight. The finishing touches being put on the racehorses, and looking very, very forward to opening night tonight, and always looking forward to some great promotions courtesy of our betting partners at Twin Spires. Fast, safe, easy to use, and great promotions, including this one, the Derby Back Money Back offer, which does begin tonight and will continue through the last race on Kentucky Derby Day, which of course is next Saturday, May the 4th. Offering insurance on your win bets, all eligible races at Churchill Downs in the form of a $10 money back offer. Head to Twin Spires or the trusty Twin Spires app for the official rules, but basically, if you bet a horse to win and they run second or third, you'll get your money back up to $10. So make sure you opt in. It's a little bit of insurance on your win bets. Another great promotion, which will kick into gear this coming Thursday, which is Thurby. It's the Thurby Leaderboard Contest. It'll be held on Thursdays here at Churchill Downs throughout the meet. But for each race at Churchill Downs, make a $10 win wager on a single horse. Earn points if they run first, second, or third. Climb the leaderboard and you can win the lion's share of that $2,500 prize pool. It's a contest that's free to enter. All you have to do is head to Twin Spires, do what you're supposed to do, make those $10 win bets, earn points for running first, second, or third, and climb your way up the leaderboard in the Thursday Thurby Leaderboard Contest with $2,500 up for grabs. Beautiful morning here at Churchill Downs. Temperature rosy in the mid-60s, much warmer when I got in my car this morning. The forecast looks good for the coming week. Don't want to jinx anything, but it's going to be a warm one today, and a beautiful night to kick off the spring meet here at Churchill Downs. Lots of stakes to feast on next week. And of course, the main course, the Kentucky Derby on Saturday with the prelude, the Oaks on Friday.
Yeah, and the thing about the first Saturday in May is you could have anything as far as weather goes. So
We've had everything, yeah.
A nice, a good positive forecast is like a gift for the horses and the riders and everybody that's out here doing their final preparations.
And those that bought outdoor tickets.
And those that bought outdoor tickets.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've never been in that position.
I've been in every position. I've been in the infield. I've been up on Millionaire's Row. I actually sat right across from George Steinbrenner the year that he had the favorite. That was pretty cool.
Wow.
And then obviously I've been in this. This is my 10th season at Churchill. My first one here was 2015 when American Pharaoh not only won the Derby,
well, that's a heck of a first
but won
season.
the Triple Crown. So yeah, I take full credit for that. Yeah, lots of fun. This is always obviously the most exciting time of the year, and you know this is the final work. Obviously, we saw a lot of those yesterday. Fierceness for the Derby, a lot of Oaks horses yesterday. But the trainers just want to get through this. They want to put their horses in bubble wrap. They can't wait, you know, once they get past the draw, find out their post positions. Just, you know, that wait until Friday, that wait until Saturday can be a little bit difficult for everybody involved. But you also want to enjoy this experience. You never know as someone that's involved when that opportunity might come again.
Absolutely. I think it's kind of unique that the Derby draw is on Saturday this year because it's, you know, normally you've got all your final preparations out of the way, and then, you know, the Derby draw comes next. So we're kind of all in the mix of it. We're watching these breezes this morning and wondering what post they're going to draw and how they're training and how that will affect the way they set up.
We're going to move over from Sierra Leone here, and again, just looking every bit of that $2.3 million sales price to Just a Touch. Both of them are supposed to work here today. Just a Touch for Brad Cox, who's got Encino. Encino worked well earlier this morning with Catching Freedom. We'll take a look at that a little bit later on in the show. That was earlier this morning, about 5:15. Just a Touch is going to work, but Brad Cox has got Encino, who likely will be forward. Just a Touch, who's capable of being forward, and then the deeper closer and Catching Freedom. So not only does he have 3 shots, but he's got horses with, you know, different running styles. Catching Freedom, you know, the one with the best resume, but the other 2 also capable, including this horse who was second in the Bluegrass last out.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Catching Freedom, and but Just a Touch, like you said, he's a tactical horse, can be rated, and then Encino, also tactical, has come from behind but can show speed. I'm not sure if he's got quite as much speed as Fierceness.
Just a Touch, looking to follow in the hoofsteps of Mage, also Justify and Regret. They all broke that Apollo curse, which said you had to be in a race at 2 in order to win the Derby. Also, you know, Mage last year only had 3 starts entering the Kentucky Derby, and he won. And actually, horses with 3 starts entering the Kentucky Derby are 4 for 26. So there's a lot to be said for foundation and experience, but we've seen kind of a, you know, new strategy with some of these trainers, maybe, you know, a little bit more lightly raced isn't necessarily a bad thing. We've seen the results play out, particularly with Mage and Justify in recent years, and Just a Touch fits that category.
Yeah, and you know, it has so much to do with how they're training, how they're progressing through their races, and these horses are, you know, bred top class. So you know, they're bred to do this. They're bred to be here, and when they progress, you know, when they have positive progression through their races, you can hit that peak in your 4th start on Kentucky Derby Day.
True,
Been
very
done.
true. Looks like Sierra Leone is starting to get a little bit more serious here. We do have a horse who is outside as well, another Derby horse. But Sierra Leone scheduled the breeze here this morning, and he, you know, probably is not going to wow us in his breeze like Fierceness did, because he's not that kind of a racehorse. He's, you know, more of a get in gear deeper out the back closer. And yes, we're in company here with a couple of these Derby
Is that domestic
horses.
product?
That would make sense.
That's definitely a Chad Brown horse.
Same trainer.
You can see his saddle
Domestic
tail.
product. Yep, there you go. Going in company here. Domestic product, a little bit of a wild card for Chad Brown in the Derby. He's lightly raced, and he's coming out of some slower races. The winner of the Tampa Bay Derby. It'll be interesting to see how he matches up with Sierra Leone here. And Sierra Leone, interestingly enough, on the inside, I believe.
Yeah, and you can see, this is not an uncommon tactic to have a horse sit off of a deep closer in a workout, because they kind of push the horse along and keep their attention. Both of these horses working really well. And Sierra Leone, I mean, look at him stretch out.
Yeah, he's the point horse on the inside.
Yeah, his head kind of reaching, his neck lowering. And then the horse on the outside is working, domestic product working extremely well too. It almost looks like they were allowing Sierra Leone to finish ahead in front. And let's see what their gallop out looks like. You would expect something pretty easy from Sierra Leone in the gallop out. But, he kind of looks like a horse that doesn't do much more than what he needs to do in his gallop out here. But he was reaching down the lane. He enjoyed that. Those horses both moving really nicely. The riders didn't really have much to ask of them. And Sierra Leone just is that low head carriage where he's, one of those horses, when you turn for home, he just probably gets about 3 inches lower to the ground.
Tyler knows what he has. Tyler Gaffalione has not won the Kentucky Derby. He's on Sierra Leone. Irad Ortiz Jr. is on domestic product. And Chad Brown has said all week, everybody's asking him about Sierra Leone. And he has said, what about my other horse? You're going to ask me about my other horse? I think he's high on domestic product. Obviously tough to be as high on that horse as you are on Sierra Leone based on his credentials, his physicality, et cetera, et cetera. But domestic product for me is a horse that could sneak into the number at a big price.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly ran a good race in the Tampa Bay Derby. It just, wasn't one of the fastest Derby preps that we've had. But what an exciting year for Tyler Gaffalione to have a choice in the Derby. One of the favorites.
We've got a worker here for the Kentucky Oaks. And I wish my identification skills were...
It looks like Lucas.
A little bit. Oh, that is Leslie's Rose. I thought that might be. Okay, so that is Leslie's Rose for Todd Pletcher.
I thought that looked like a...
I don't know. Didn't Leslie's Rose just worked?
Leslie's Rose
just worked the other day. Yeah, no, this...
I think this is Lucas. I think this could be...
Lemon. Well, we lost her anyways. All right, we'll switch gears here. We do know this is West Saratoga. We do apologize for that. This is West Saratoga, and this is the first time I'm getting an opportunity. I saw a lot of them last year, but this is the first time I've got an opportunity actually to see him as a 3-year-old. And Larry Demerit, great story, obviously. This horse costs, what, $11,000?
$11,000, yeah, at the Keeneland September sale in 2022.
Larry Demerit, I believe the first African-American trainer to have a horse in the Derby since the late 50s, I believe. So it's just a great story all around. Backside favorite is Larry Demerit. And West Saratoga, he's got a lot of heart. We'll see how he matches up with this field going 1.25 miles.
He looks like a pretty easy guy to communicate with on the track, West Saratoga. He's kind of checking out the crowd. He's got blinkers on, ears pricked. He's probably checking out what I'm sure is plenty of people on the apron there on the front side.
No doubt. A lot of foundation to this horse with 10 lifetime starts. Earned his way into the Derby with a second in the Jeff Ruby Stakes last out, and what was a 5-horse photo finish for second, where everybody needed second to get in, and he gutted it out for the place spot behind Endlessly at 36-1 off of the third in his start prior in the Sam F. Davis, one of the Iroquois at Churchill Downs last September. That is West Saratoga for Larry Demerit.
We'll see how far he's going to go today. I would assume a half mile with a gallop out.
All right, we've got some times here. We've got the Brown team in 1 minute and 1/5. We'll await those fractions. We'll see what else we have here as well.
Looks like West Saratoga is getting a little closer to the pole. He's going to start picking it up here down the backside. He's just going past the gap, so I think he's headed to the half-mile pole to start his breeze. That was the 5/8 pole that he just passed, and he hasn't really dropped his head yet. Normally you'll see them start to pick the work up at the 16th pole before, like if they're going a half-mile pole.
Right.
If they're going a half-mile in their work, they'll start to pick it up at the 16th pole, but it looks like they might be waiting to the 3/8 pole, and maybe they'll work a half to the pole after the wire. So they are definitely going to start the breeze at the 3/8 pole here. I believe there was the pole. And it looks like he's paying attention to giving a lot of his attention to the crowd and what's going on. Now he's a little bit settled into his work. He was kind of had his ears moving around. Bit of a high-headed horse. But down the lane, he's now into his move.
Jesus Castanon will be the rider in the Kentucky Derby. Probably most famous for his work with Shackelford during his career.
Yeah. And we'll see how far he goes past the wire, because sometimes they will work like from the 3/8 pole, and you can see the rider hasn't changed, which means he's still breezing the horse. So he is going to breeze him to the 7/8 pole is there, and now you can see him kind of stand up. So he went a half-mile from the 3/8 pole is what it looks like.
What would be the purpose or the strategy behind?
Just to get the horse to work past the wire.
Gotcha. Again, that's West Saratoga for Larry Demerit. Jesus Castanon aboard. 2 for 10 lifetime. Does have a win in a couple of seconds, including a stakes win in the Iroquois here at Churchill Downs, albeit over the one-turn mile. In fact, the first 6 races of his career were one turn, and 7 of his 10 races have been around one turn. And again, purchased at the Keeneland September yearling sale in 2022 for $11,000. Rosie, this game is built on dreams and hope, to say the least.
It sure is. It sure is. I've always been a fan of Exaggerator, too. Good distance horses.
Exaggerator, the winner of the Preakness during his career. All right.
He actually makes really good off-track horses, too.
There you go. Now I
horses
really
in
know
second careers.
Yeah.
You knew what my ulterior motive was there, didn't you?
Yes, of course. I knew it had to be something related to that. All right, who do we have here?
I was going to say, this looks like a Bill Mott saddle towel in the green helmet cover, and you can see the green on the back of his saddle.
All right, that would be Resilience. Junior Alvarado slated to ride Resilience, who ran a couple of times at Churchill and ran second to Stronghold, another Kentucky Derby contender, was third to Nash when Nash was all the rave here on November the 12th. Finally broke his maiden in his 4th career start at Gulfstream, then was 4th in that very key Risen Star, and was the winner of the Wood Memorial. It seems to be headed in the right direction. I don't think distance necessarily is going to be a problem for Resilience. It's just a matter of whether or not he's got the quality to compete with the upper echelon in this crop.
Right. Yeah, that Wood Memorial was, a visually impressive race, but the time was just a little bit slower. This horse, he was a little bit headstrong, I think, in the beginning of the Wood Memorial. He's kind of a high-headed horse, though, but he really strides out well. Maybe he looks like he could just be galloping.
Yeah, he put blinkers on for the first time in the Wood on April the 6th. and
which could have definitely contributed to him being a little headstrong.
Right, and he was down on the rail, and
I'm curious who the rider will be, too, because he was been...
Junior.
Okay, Junior.
Yeah. Alvarado will ride. Does a lot of the heavy lifting for the Mott barn.
Yeah. Johnny's been riding this horse in his previous 3 starts.
Yes, Johnny Velasquez, of course, the rider of Fierceness for Todd Pletcher. Here you get a good look at Resilience and showing some energy in this gallop here.
Yeah, I mean, you can see when he switched leads there, he kind of hit another gear.
We're going to get a look at the horse that got a good look at Fierceness's heels in the Florida Derby last time out. That was Catalytic, a distant second behind him, but earned enough points to get into Kentucky Derby 150. I believe he's supposed to work tomorrow, but he's out there galloping here today. And at least to my eyes, this is our first look at Catalytic moments ago. And, you know, one positive about this horse is he chased Fierceness all the way around the track in the Florida Derby, but was still good enough, game enough to hold on for second. A lot of times when you're in chase mode, you're all in. You don't hang on for second. You get caught by a couple horses.
Yes, that's a great point, Joe. And this is another horse will be having his 4th start in the Derby. He looks like quite the professional out here. A really nice, easy gallop. Does enough without asking, you know, without wanting to do too much. Makes it easy on the athlete's body. I was kind of like that. When I was breezing horses,
yeah,
you would see me move very seldom. Let them do the work.
There you go.
Not doing more than I had to do, but this horse looks very happy to be there, striding out. I will tell you, I have noticed as a whole, the horses this year, every single one of them seems to be moving, just very sound in their bodies. You know, a lot of times, although, you know, they're sound horses, they'll look a little stiff in their bodies. And that's just from being an athlete. I can also attest to that. I feel stiff in my body. Yeah. But everybody looks so good this year.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of times you hear a little bit of buzz. Oh, this horse might come out. This horse might come out. I haven't heard any of that this year.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, the amount of defections we had last year was just absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
I think I picked 5 horses and 4 of them scratched before the Derby.
We'll see how it plays out. We will get one step closer with the post position draw later on tonight, where we will draw 20 and then also have also eligibles for the Derby and 14 with also eligibles for the Kentucky Oaks. That happens again between races 3 and 4 here this evening. Let's take a look at a work and an important one from earlier this morning, Rosie. This is Encino and Catching Freedom. And you're going to see Catching Freedom on the inside of this work here for trainer Brad Cox, who's got 3 horses in the Kentucky Derby this year. Louisiana Derby winner Catching Freedom on the inside with exercise rider Edvin Vargas. And on the outside is Encino. And Encino, the bigger horse, just kind of dwarfing a Catching Freedom to a certain extent. Florent Giroux aboard Encino here.
Yeah, and I got to see Catching Freedom up close. He's not a huge horse, but he has a huge presence. So we've got the speedier horse, the more tactical horse sitting off of the closer, Encino sitting off of Catching Freedom, and I'm sure that's by design. Push Catching Freedom along and rate Encino a bit. But they seem to be moving extremely well. I mean, I love the look of this work, and Catching Freedom is one that is catching my eye for picks. He's a horse that I like his running style, and Encino actually pulling ahead in front of him here. But you know, it doesn't really look like either horse is being asked. And they come to the wire with Encino just a little bit in front. We'll see how they gallop out. You can see if the rider on Catching Freedom drops his head here, it seems like he will probably accelerate.
There was a question whether or not Encino would run in the Derby. It's not like Brad Cox to run a horse back 3 weeks, and this is the horse that won the Lexington.
Well, but again, it depends on when they're peaking and how they're progressing.
And it's the Kentucky Derby.
Well, right, but I mean, if you've got a horse that just runs in the Lexington in Encino and comes out of it in excellent form, comes out of it on cloud 9, it could be the perfect time to run that horse.
Yeah. Based on what we saw this morning, I got a feeling he's probably going to run.
He kept his head in front at the wire, Encino in front of Catching Freedom, and galloped out in front of him, too.
Yeah, it was a nice work for both, but Encino certainly didn't do anything to dissuade Godolphin or Brad Cox to run him in the Derby. Let's take a look at Granmo the first. I believe, at least for me, this is the first time that I'm seeing him, and he didn't do a lot on the racetrack here this morning. He got in as number 20 into the Kentucky Derby off of some performances in Florida, where he was most recently a distant third, beaten 16 lengths in the Florida Derby. Third beaten a neck in the Tampa Bay Derby by Domestic Product. Granmo the first, who has shown some improvement speed figure-wise in his recent starts.
Yeah, he looks to be out here just casual. It doesn't appear it's going to be a breeze.
A lot of talk about Forever Young, the Japanese representative UAE Derby winner, but they got another horse in the field. This horse earned his way in through the Japan Road to the Kentucky Derby series. This is T.O. Password, and I believe this is his first time on the racetrack. He went from Japan. He was in quarantine in Chicago for a while. Now he's here, and he's a little bit washy on, a relatively cool morning.
Yeah, you haven't seen any other horses sweating the way this one is. So, and this horse, the least experience with only 2 starts, but hasn't done anything wrong in those starts. It looks like they're setting this up. They've got the pony horse in front, and then they've got the workmate, and T.O. Password is kind of tucked in behind. This looks just like my husband Joe Sharp and I with my son teaching him how to cover his pony up so that he could rate her. But that's a very effective way to get a horse to relax, is kind of tuck them in behind something else.
Yeah.
So it could be that they need to relax the workmate. And then the workmate is helping keep T.O. Password a little off the bridle. But yeah, that he is sweating quite a bit.
Power Squeeze. This is the first time getting a look at her. She just arrived recently, and this is a name we haven't really talked about because she hasn't been here, but she's certainly got the credentials to be a major force. In fact, she finished in front of Ways and Means last time out at Gulfstream Park in the Gulfstream Park Oaks, and she looked good doing it. She's won 4 in a row.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that I haven't been hearing, nobody's been talking about this filly. I mean, she held her ground in, held her ground. She ran fantastic in her last 3 starts, and in the Oaks, I noticed she really held her ground on the first turn and was being asked to run most of the race.
Yes.
Another one, actually, she might have been the one when I was watching, and I was like, she reminds me of Mage. She was running at Gulfstream, and just the rider was kind of working on her the whole time, and she never let up one bit, and came out with the win in the Gulfstream Park Oaks. So I've actually been surprised that we haven't heard anything else about her.
She certainly looks happy out there.
She looks like a happy horse. Another one that looks like she's moving really well.
Power Squeeze, Daniel Centeno for Jorge Delgado.
She looks like she's probably jogging back to the barn.
We're going to look back at Sierra Leone's work from earlier this morning as this designated period for the Oaks and Derby horses is winding down. So let's take a look back at Sierra Leone. And Sierra Leone on the inside here of Domestic Product, the Chad Brown trained duo. And we've got some times coming in here as well, so we can give those to you. Slow early in this work, Rosie, as they're going to break off here 24-4, but then they really picked it up in that second quarter, which you alluded to actually from the first quarter to the next 8th, and then the final time of 1 minute and 1 tick. But they really picked it up along this work. The gallop out was 113-1 and 7 furlongs and 126-1. But again, Domestic Product on the outside here of Sierra Leone, the almost certain to be second choice in the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, again, the 2 favorites with different running styles. And Sierra Leone certainly reaching out in this work. This was a really nice move. I'm sure this was just what Chad Brown was looking for from the final prep here.
Lots of other workers on the tab too besides these 2. We'll go through some of those times here in a moment, but I'm guessing not only is Chad happy with Sierra Leone, but Domestic Product, who's flying under everybody's radar, that was a nice move by him too.
Absolutely. I mean, you can see here, like, neither rider is asking anything of either horse. And they gallop out together.
Some of the other
nice gallop out.
The gallop out time is 13-1, 26-1. Some other workers this morning, Door Knock and Society Man, they went pretty fast, 46-3. And the gallop out time there was 12-3. To just a touch work this morning, he went 1 minute and 4/5 with a gallop out time of 13-3. Let's take a look at Track Phantom. It's another horse that people aren't really talking all that much about, Rosie, but they were earlier in the year when he won the Gun Runner and the LeCompte, and then was second in the Risen Star behind Sierra Leone. And this is him earlier. And watch the exercise rider. Watch what happens here. The horse spooks a little bit here in the turn.
Yeah, so he's kind of just galloping along, happy gallop. You'll see the horse coming up on the inside of him. And notice that Track Phantom's wearing blinkers. He's kind of got his head turned to the outside. So I'm wondering if that horse that came past him on the inside just took him by surprise a little bit, which, you know, it's kind of a funny thing to happen with a horse that has this kind of experience. But horses are animals.
Yeah.
They can react to things.
Well, a great job.
I don't really think it means much.
I believe Robert Howell, the exercise rider here for Track Phantom, great job by him, because the horse spooks, and you know, you got to be alert at all times when you're on the back of a racehorse. Not that I have any experience, but when the horse spooks like that, it can catch you off guard, obviously.
Yeah, and you know, that's just what makes a really good rider, is one that, you know, that was just basically his body reacting without him even thinking about it, to keep his balance right in the middle of that horse.
That's going to wrap it up for the designated training time here at Churchill Downs. And, of course, opening night tonight with a first post of 6 o'clock. We'll talk more about the draw in a moment, but let's remind everybody about these great promotions. At Twin Spires, a $10 money-back offer begins tonight all the way through Derby. And, again, if you opt into this and you bet a horse to win in the eligible races and that horse finishes second or third, you're like, oh, man, I lost. But you really didn't, because you get your money back, up to $10 if you bet a horse to win and they run second or third. It's kind of like some insurance on your win bets. You can bet favorites, you can bet long shots. Either way, you get insurance on either. Make sure you opt into twinspires.com or the trusty Twin Spires app. And then coming up on Thursday, Thurby, it's the Twin Spires leaderboard competition, $2,500 in the prize pool. And you make $10 win bets on all the races on the card. They become eligible to earn you points for your horses running first, second, or third. So if you win, you know, more races, finish second, third, you're accumulating points throughout the course of the entire program. And you can climb your way up the leaderboard. You can earn your share of that $2,500. And all you got to do is opt in and play the races like you normally would. It's absolutely free to enter. You've got to opt in at twinspires.com or the trusty Twin Spires app. Draw tonight. We're live racing tonight, opening night, first post at 6 o'clock. The draw for the Oaks and then the Derby, presented by Ford, from the brand spanking new paddock here at Churchill Downs. It's going to be a spectacle. It's happening during live racing. I don't think we've ever done that before. I don't think we've drawn the races a week out before either. So you'll have plenty of time to re-handicap these races. We're going to stream it live, Kevin Kilroy and I from the desk, and Travis Stone emceeing from the paddock. Live post-position draw for the Oaks and Derby, opening night tonight at Churchill Downs. So we saw Sierra Leone, saw Fierceness yesterday. They are the two favorites. We're going to see where they draw tonight. More important, obviously, for Fierceness. But this is the next stage tonight with this post-position draw for the strategy. Do you remember,
Yes.
you know, in these races talking about that strategy after the draws for, you know, a lot of races, any race, but particularly these really important races?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you can't really think about the race until they've drawn the post positions. And then, you know, in the bigger races, once in a while, I think with Todd, we would always go over the race like the day before. That's about it. Everybody knows what they're doing. Everybody knows their job.
Yeah, and you're going to handicap these races, et cetera. Look at where your path to victory might be, what kind of style your horse has compared to the other ones drawn inside and outside.
At this point, you relatively know the horse well. And I mean, of course, there are some riders who are riding their horses for the first time, but the trainers and the jockeys both know their job.
Yep. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this morning. And don't forget, we've got another work show tomorrow as well. And it's going to be an interesting one. A couple of track announcers trading opinions. Travis Stone and Tony Kalo on the workout show tomorrow with a first post, as always, at 7:15 a.m. Don't forget, opening night tonight. First post at 6 o'clock. Hope to see you there.